The multi-billion-dollar business of prostitution and pimping is built on exploitation and violence. It's a world rarely seen by outsiders, and in many ways, it's a hard one to look at. But it's a world we can't afford to ignore. Last summer, we went to Atlanta to do a story about how that city and the federal government were cracking down on child prostitution there. But in the course of doing that story, we met an unusual man, a pimp, who allowed us a glimpse into how he runs his business. Men like this control almost every aspect of professional sex. Most importantly, they control the minds of the women who work for them. They are the puppet masters of prostitution.
Atlanta, man, I love Atlanta. Get plenty of respect. This is a pimp in the whole town. This is a town for anything goes, okay, like Las Vegas.
Meet Kenneth Vaughn, a.k.a. Fresh. Fresh is a pimp. He'll tell you that to your face. He doesn't actually live in Atlanta, but he comes here often and says it's one of the best places to bring his women to work. Fresh was not included in the federal indictment, but even with all the recent heat on Atlanta's pimps, he's not shy when it comes to talking about his business, which he and the other pimps call the game.
It has to be understood that this is strictly about the money. This is not about sex. This is not about being a girlfriend and a boyfriend. This is about actually getting money from the adult entertainment industry.
Fresh likes to think of himself as a young black entrepreneur from Nashville, Tennessee. He's 33 years old and admits to doing at least 6 years in prison for drug dealing. When we caught up with him in Atlanta, he was with two of his call girls, Blondie and Shyla, taking care of business.
Hey, I'm like 5 minutes away.
No, you're getting off at the exit right now.
Oh, never mind. I'm getting off the exit right now. 285.
Fresh tries hard to make this seem like a normal business, even claiming he and his women pay their taxes. But it takes all of 2 minutes to realize theirs is an ugly world.
These young ladies are mine. I have probably 5, 7, 10 that are mine. It just depends, fluctuates on different days. I'm gonna keep 5 bitches, you know. We're family. They do understand that. We're all here for the same common cause, man, and that's to get money out of the sex industry.
How much money? Blondie and Shyla know what they're expected to earn every day.
$50 a day, average 1,000. A day 15.
And Shyla says that's big money compared to what they were making before they met Fresh.
I was washing cars for a living for $40 a day. What you make is to take care of you and your man.
This is the way it works. The women make the money, and they hand it over to Fresh. All of it. Every dime. And that's what he expects from all of his girls, including Brianna, who's just returned from an out-of-town trip on one of Fresh's assignments.
What's going on, baby? You all right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do this job, man, and my girls do it well. So if you think that I'm going to justify why I get all the money, I don't have to justify it. It just is.
The high point of their day is a trip to the mall. For the self-described young black entrepreneur, these shopping sprees are simply the cost of doing business.
I might spend $300, but I'm probably going to make probably $2,500, $2,300. So what's $300 for them folks to have a good time, man? That's every day. So did you see something here? You want to go somewhere else?
What amazed me is that these women seem content to be part of Fresh's small but growing family, as he calls it, of prostitutes, even though they don't really get paid. We talked to them away from Fresh, and they claim to be free to stay or go and choose to stay. As you might imagine, Fresh likes the setup just the way it is.
The women that I have dedicated their lives to me. They sacrifice their minds, their hearts, their bodies for the nonsense that they go through every day for me. Therefore, I give them my all 110%. I give them protection, knowledge, guidance, instructions, wisdom, understanding.
In return for that knowledge, wisdom, and instruction, Fresh makes enough money to take care of himself pretty well.
Manicure?
It's not like he let us see his bank statements, but if you believe what the women say they bring home every day, Fresh's little family makes between $200,000 to $500,000 a year. He has 2 nice cars and wears designer clothes. Looking good, he says, helps him recruit new talent wherever and whenever he sees it.
Hey, hold on. Look here, hold on. Watch this. I'm getting ready to go to work.
And Fresh sees potential talent just about everywhere.
Hey, excuse me. Hello, hello, hello. How y'all ladies doing? I'm just trying to get the introduction, right? I'm just saying, what's your name, dog? Dee. All right, Dee. So what, y'all from around the hood? Y'all from around the way? What y'all doing? I'm trying to get a number or something. Let me hit y'all back later on, right? I want to talk about some money, right? I mean, pimps, for sure, right? Oh, where y'all going? What is it? Hey, you thought a young man like me was looking for a girlfriend?
You're trying to attract young women to come work for you into this life who are not already in this life.
Okay, but what about the ones that are already in this life, whether they are not or are in this life? If these women are having sex before marriage, you understand where I'm coming from? If they are not getting paid from it, if they are getting passed around, if these women are showing their bodies and getting manipulated and used, they really need to see me, because I'm going to give them a better way. I'm going to show them how we can get money, and they get to spend time with me, man. Hey, excuse me.
Pimps don't just recruit at malls. Every day at bus stations, even schools, pimps are on the lookout for new talent. And for some, the younger the girl, the better. Which is exactly what brought down the wrath of the federal government and caused the feds to look at pimps in a new way. More about that later, but first, Fresh has found a new recruit.
Hello? Hello? Come on in. You got your crew with you, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah, surprise, surprise.
This is Rachel, looking all of 14 years old. She says she's 19, but you will not believe the life she's already lived.
When I started in this business, I was 10 years old. Bye, Charlotte.
When we come back, Rachel's story. A teenager who's already a veteran of the game. She says she learned the tricks of the trade from her own mother. Now, Fresh hopes to cash in on the family business.
How does a 10-year-old girl end up on the street selling her body to dozens of strange men? We'll let Rachel tell you, because it's her own intimate story. She's signed on as the newest, youngest member of Fresh's family business, but now can she play by her new pimp's rules? Here again is Don Dalen.
I would like to go run an errand right quick. And I would like this young lady right here, she's been doing this since she was 10 years old, right?
As you can see, Fresh is always on the move. After he disappeared, Rachel told us her story.
I had just come from a massage parlor in Tennessee. I didn't like how things were going there, so I was planning on going back to Dallas.
But then Rachel spotted Fresh.
Before he even said something, I asked him the question, "Are you a pimp?" He said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Okay, I knew it."
Rachel gave Fresh all the money she had on her at the time and even cashed in her bus ticket. If this seems strange to you, it's not to her. Rachel says she grew up in the game.
When I started in this business, I was 10 years old in New York, in Manhattan. I was working out there with my mom. She had a pimp, and I had a separate pimp from hers. And my mom had been doing this for 13 years. And when I did try it, I was young. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. And my mom showed me through all that. So I learned very quickly.
One of the things she learned was how to spot a pimp. So as of today, Fresh is her man.
He sounded like he was experienced with it when he opened his mouth. And I plan on staying with him for a while. Me, I've been in the game a while, but I'm still young, and I look innocent.
To compete in the game these days, Fresh says he has to use every angle available, which includes, of course, the internet. One of the ways he gets the word out about his women is an adult entertainment website, where Blondie and Shyla are listed. So any John in the Atlanta area is just a click away from a date with Fresh's girls. And the website seems to be working.
It's $100 per hour for one lady, and it's $200 for two ladies.
Fresh claims his women are sometimes just paid companions, that sex doesn't necessarily happen if the woman can control her John. And you don't have to spend much time with Fresh before you notice the control he has over the women who work for him. The tattoos say it all. Both Blondie and Shyla have one. Their meaning is clear. These women belong to Fresh.
Anybody can control a bitch's body.
But man, it takes a hell of a man to control a mind. It's men out there who can't get their women to get up and cook breakfast in the morning, man. But I can get a broad to go out and bring me $1,000 a day on average. 4 or 5 broad. You get yours your way, I'm gonna get mine my way.
Who gives a what I say with this?
Okay, no, what I didn't.
But what Fresh can control is human nature. There's trouble within the family.
Because I really don't give a what you got to say. Good.
Blondie and Shyla are none too happy about having a new girl around, and they're giving her a hard time about not making any money last night.
Okay, hold on. Oh, shut up. Shut up. This ain't about her. What you do is go get my money tonight, tomorrow, and for the rest of your life.
So this is how he does it, controls his women. After berating them, Fresh turns on the charm.
Well, why are you saying?
Does what he calls building them back up by manipulating their emotions.
You understand? See, you don't get to be a big hoe overnight. You go through stages and steps. You go through the learning process from A to Z. Okay? So you don't really have to feel like there's somebody that's going to come behind you, because you are doing everything in your power to provide for me every single day, everything that I want. And I respect you for what you do for me.
Before taking Blondie and Shyla to their next date, Fresh lays down the law for Rachel.
Everybody in this hotel has to have $200 just to spend for the room. Now, what do they have for you? They want some time and companionship. So
Fresh gives Rachel instructions so she can start making money for him right here at the hotel. That's right. For pimps like Fresh, hotel guests are fair game.
Walk over there and find out what's going on in the pool. See the exercise room. Walk through the whole place. And if them people look at you, then you give them the win. You give him the little signal. You gonna know the trick when you see him. And he's gonna know you when he sees you. You understand?
Fresh sees potential in the newest member of the family. Girls who look young are in demand in the game. And because they're easier to manipulate, prosecutors say many of Atlanta's pimps were targeting girls even younger than Rachel. As for Fresh, he's not yet 100% sure about the new girl.
If she's there at that room when we get back, then she should work out.
So when Fresh returns to the hotel, he's pleased to see Rachel has indeed been busy.
I'm always about the money. Everybody wants to succeed. The American dream is the big house, the big car, the dog in the yard, the white picket fence, all of that, okay? She can have that with me.
But is the American dream having sex with men you don't know for money and then handing the money over to you?
Okay, well, this is what we're dealing with in the sex industry. So this is this aspect of life. When you say, how is that the American dream? You may have another American dream.
Although Rachel made some money for Fresh, it was not enough for him. So the next night, he's going to make sure she does better.
My money wasn't right when you came in, but I guarantee you tonight, you will have better ends than you had last night. I'm going to give you the instructions to do it.
So now he's taking her to an area known as the Track, a series of streets where the lowliest prostitutes work.
Okay, this is where you're going to be walking from that market back there right up through here. As you get up.
Fresh gives her a little tour of the places he wants her to go to make sure she will be seen and make some money.
You're walking. At all times, somebody's going to see you and say, shit, do I want a movie or do I want a woman?
And despite all his big words about protecting his women, Fresh is putting this 19-year-old girl out on the mean streets of Atlanta alone.
It's a dangerous situation for these women. If you really cared for these women as you profess to them that you do, how can you put them in that kind of a situation?
Care for them in the sense of what? I care for them in the sense that they work for me, that they're my girls, that they're my ladies, that they have an understanding that we're going to get this money this way. If they don't want to do it, man, they can go work at McDonald's. They can go do what they want to do. They do this by choice, not by force.
And Rachel chose Fresh because she thought he was going to be one of the good guys, a pimp who really cared for her.
I like who he is I like him for him.
But the game isn't about pimps who care, because for pimps like Fresh, the game is all and only about money.
She could not show, she could not produce. She had the potential, but all women have the potential. See, hoes are made, not born, okay? So again, if she would have followed the guidance, the instructions, the knowledge, and the wisdom that I gave her, she would have turned out all right.
As it is, we don't know how Rachel turned out. Fresh never saw her again. And despite searching the track for hours that night, neither did we.
Rachel may be out of the picture, but there are always others ready to walk in her shoes. And for the pimps, the younger the better.
We've seen how a pimp plays mind games with the women who work for him, manipulating their hearts to cash in on their bodies. As if that weren't bad enough, some pimps in Atlanta are pulling the same con on children. But for those pimps, doing that turns out to be a big mistake. We return now to the streets of Atlanta with Don Daler.
They're on the lookout for vice.
Lieutenant Tony Biello with Atlanta Vice has seen too many times how a pimp can take over a young girl's life.
They're low-level hustlers that have the gift of gab and have a very, very keen sense of how to pick up on a young female's weakness.
Vice Squad Sergeant Randy Traylor.
A lot of them don't have fathers. I don't think they have a father figure, and that's why these guys manipulate them into thinking, I care for you.
But in the end, Biello says, the pimps really couldn't care less.
He's going to destroy her life. He's going to use her up until she's either dead, hooked on drugs, or locked up in prison.
Hey, Burns.
Go ahead.
The Vice cops say for years they've been trying to take the prostitutes off the streets and put their pimps out of business.
We got 3 walking southbound on Metro.
But it was almost always the hookers and the johns who got busted, not the pimps. And even if they were arrested, the penalty was little more than a slap on the wrist. That's because in the state of Georgia, while prostitution is a felony, pimping is only a misdemeanor.
So even if you arrested the pimp and you brought him in, what would typically happen?
He'd post a bond that same night and walk out. He'd probably be out of jail before we were done the detail for the night.
You know the rules, pimp, the bitch is choosing.
The pimps in Atlanta were virtually untouchable. Some were so arrogant, they appeared in a video documentary called Really, Really Pimpin' in the South.
Pimps be pimpin'.
Which brazenly glorifies the game and their pimp lifestyle. These were heady days for the pimps in Atlanta. But then they went too far. Some of them began recruiting and even coercing children to become prostitutes. Like this girl, we'll call Gloria. She says last year, when she was just 12 years old, a pimp made her have sex with a stranger and tried to force her to be a prostitute.
He bought me a whore outfit.
A whore outfit.
A whore outfit.
Describe that for me.
The outfit where skirt fits, skin tight. You don't wear no underwear, no bra, and a wig, lipstick, some probably 8-inch heels.
How'd you feel when you put that on?
I felt like a whore because I had to wear that, and I had to prostitute for him, and I didn't want to do it. So they just mess your head up, have you afraid of them, make you want to kill yourself, make you feel like life's not worth living.
Gloria eventually escaped, but many others were not so lucky.
It's something that can happen to anybody's child.
One of the first to realize that Atlanta had a child prostitution problem was Nina Hickson, a juvenile court judge in Fulton County, Georgia.
My colleagues and I at the court are seeing anywhere from 20 to 30 girls a month. Now, that doesn't mean that these girls are necessarily charged with the offense of prostitution, but as we begin to delve into their stories, to understand what's going on in their lives, we find out that they are involved in prostitution.
Judge Hickson realized it would take even more than her judicial powers to deal with the problem. So she wrote an editorial in the local newspaper calling child prostitution in Atlanta an epidemic.
I was just stunned.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Janice Gordon was galvanized by Hickson's editorial and got the FBI to investigate.
That there was a group of pimps and that they specialized in kids, that they worked certain areas, that they traded the girls, they sold the girls, they beat the girls, they took their money, they provided them with drugs, and it was just a terrible situation, and someone had to do something about it.
So Gordon decided to go after the pimps with the RICO statute. That's the federal anti-racketeering law most often used against drug dealers and the mafia. For the first time ever, the government was saying pimping is organized crime. And this time, they would not just be paying a fine and getting out. Now, they were facing 20 years in prison. Needless to say, the pimp crackdown raised tensions in the game.
That's what I'm talking about. Get some gun. Get some gun. Where the bitch at? Where the bitch at? I'll take your bitch.
The heat is on Fresh and his fellow pimps like Straight Lace, and they're feeling it.
All you gonna do is want to fight. All you gonna do is want to put your hands on me. You can't out-pimp me.
This fight may have started because Straight Lace took one of Fresh's women.
You said in a confession.
But it's really about how our cameras could bring unwanted attention to the pimping business, which is already under attack.
I came here to do my thing without you doing all across country.
Thank you.
13 of the 15 pimps indicted in the Atlanta crackdown have pled guilty and will serve from 5 to 7 years behind bars. And just yesterday, 2 others went on trial. Now, as for Fresh, he too is in prison until next summer on unrelated charges, trespassing and vandalism. But even that hasn't stopped him. One of his girls says she's still loyal to him and is still working the streets for him.